Newcastle 1. Race officer speaking.
Pressure coming here, pressure coming.
We're getting lower and faster here.
Still gaining on the lay line there.
We're looking at 10.5 to 42.
5 to 42.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us again. Hopefully you all listened to part one of our preview to the Prada Cup. Kenny Reid and Nathan Outridge, my two fellow commentators here at AC36, previewing the Challenger Selection Series. If not, do give it a listen. It's an enlightening look at the three teams challenging for the Cup here in Auckland. Time in the America's Cup world is a luxury these guys just don't have. So I'm very grateful that the three challengers spared us a few minutes to record this pod. We recorded all of them in the respective team bases, and there was plenty going on in each as they all upgrade and test their machines before it all gets going again. So if there is the odd drill or grinder noise in the background, it's probably an AC75 getting some sort of speed boost. Hopefully it's not too distracting and just makes it sound a little bit more behind the scenes. We end this edition talking to Ineos Team UK skipper Sir Ben Ainslie. We sit down with Luna Rossa helm Francesco Bruni, and we kick it off with the New York Yacht Club's American Magic and their skipper, Terry Hutchinson. I hope you enjoy the time I spent with the challengers for the 36th America's Cup.
We had some really good days after the racing that were incredibly beneficial to our development. It would be a shocker to lose a race to an FCS failure. At the very heart of all of us is we're racers.
The New York Yacht Club held on to the America's Cup from 1857 to 1983. They won it an astonishing 25 times. In 1983, John Bertrand on Australia 2 stole the cup from them, and you get the feeling they have been smarting ever since. Well, now they are back with force. Their team, American Magic, fronted by Terry Hutchinson and funded by the Yacht Club, the Maxi Bellamenti owner Hap Foss, Quantum owner Doug DeVos, and motor racing legend Roger Penske. Terry has surrounded himself with trusted talent, largely assembled from the Quantum and Bellamenti programs, and has recruited Kiwi Dean Barker to drive the machine, and Marcelino Botin to design them the winning boat they need. American Magic came out punching. They finished second in the warm-up event, the only challenger to beat the Defender in a race. They look promising. And with only a couple of weeks to go, the focus is fully on the Challenger Series. Having spotted them out sailing over the Christmas break, I start the chat with Terry Hutchinson by asking him what the team are up to during this time.
So we sailed Monday and Tuesday after the World Series event ended. And Wednesday, the 23rd, we debriefed the regatta. And Patriot went into the shed to have a maintenance day. And since then, really, we've been working on our final modifications to the boat for the round robins and the Challenger Selection Series. We've been debriefing yesterday and today. The afterguard's been debriefing. The maneuvering and the boat handling side's been debriefing. And obviously, there was a lot to learn out of those regattas, and there's still a lot to learn. We were fortunate in the actual event itself to get a healthy rotation of sailors through the racing, which was good. And so we're all kind of finding our feet in that. And yeah, now we're chomping at the bits to get back out on the water. And the Challenger of record and our neighbors to the right of us, Ineos, have sailed a couple times while we've still been in the shed. And so I think we're all ready to go sailing.
That's a lot of debriefing, Terry. I mean, how much can you learn from 3 days?
Yeah, we had 4 days off as well, so in there. So we took off Christmas Eve through the 27th. So it was an important time to recharge. How much can you learn? Well, I think quite a bit. We keep going back and keep watching things, and you watch it a couple times and you have a couple notes, and each one of us on the boat is uniquely different in our approach to how we race. And so we're incredibly fortunate to have Andrew and Paul and Dean and the fact that Dean and I have raced a lot together. And so we're integrating our personalities all together. And the fact that Paul and Andrew in particular have so much experience in the boats as well, it's you can see a lot of strength there, and we have to be patient with ourselves as we learn.
We've had the December races, the World Series and the Christmas Cup, and all of the challengers, Terry, I mean, out of all of the challengers, one could argue you have the most to be pleased about. You beat every team, you beat the defenders, your boat looks good. I mean, how pleased were the team with that period of racing?
Well, we didn't win the regatta. So, all your points are correct, but we didn't win the regatta. So, Your Majesty, there is no second place. And it's nice to know that Patriot is in the hunt. It's nice to know as a team that we're in the hunt. And yet you can see the mountain of work in front of us. I would say that when I look around the harbor, each team is very, very good. I think our neighbors to the right of us, Inyos, have copped it unfairly, and there's nothing but the expectations that they're going to get a lot better. I mean, we know the complexities of the boat, and we also know how quickly the competition can turn around. The Italians are very good. Their platform and their whole program is really nice. The Defender is obviously very good. It was interesting to see of all the teams, the Defender have the smallest area foils, but they're sailing with straight foils instead of the anhedral foils. And so there's a lot of takeaways there for us to observe and to really get better with. And so I think we approached it. We had some really good days after the racing that were incredibly beneficial to our development. And so I think we're excited to put that into good use over the racing in the Challenger Selection Series. And, from a team perspective, I mean, it's nice it was good to have a good result. And at the same time, I think we've sufficiently picked it all apart that we know we can be a lot better. And that's what we have to. We have to be better. And, from there, we'll continue to improve.
All of the teams are now looking for areas of improvement as the Challenger Series draws nearer. What are the areas that you need to work on, Terry? Can you tell us that?
The areas that American Magic need to work on is, we need to get into a higher level of VMG percentage within the boundaries of the race course. We need to be at a higher spot there from a boat performance. We need to continue to refine our light air techniques. It was really encouraging the last day that we didn't race. We went up and executed a lot of maneuvers in conditions, almost sub-racing conditions, which we had never done before. And a lot of that technique gain comes out of watching our competitors and seeing how they do it. So we need to continue to refine that. We need to continue to improve Patriot's straight line performance and understand the speed circle that happens on the boat, the compromise between aero drag and boat performance, and when you change mode and how you change modes. So that's a big area of gain for us. And I'm most optimistic about that because I think we touched on some things after the racing that were significantly better. And yet, you're learning all the time. And probably one of the most pertinent things I heard in one of our debriefs was when Andrew commented, for the last 18 months, our simulator and our VPP have driven us to sail the boat in a certain way. And we're learning different techniques in and around how these tools have taught us to sail the boat. And they're quite good and they're quite exciting. And yet it just hits you right in the face that all this equipment that you have is good, but it's not real life. And so we have to get back out on the water and do it in real life and really get comfortable in our boat and our moding again as we get into the racing. So it's really exciting. I'm really excited to go sailing.
Just quickly, Terry, we know Dean is on the helm, Dean Barker, of course. and you've got a strong team of grinders. But what are the other key roles on the boat, and what's your involvement on the boat too?
Well, Andrew Campbell is the flight controller, so he manages the flight of the boat. We have a great group of trimmers between Dan Morris and Sicho and Mac Agnesi, who Dan and Mac are younger guys, and it's unbelievable to watch their development, which is really exciting. Sicho's obviously, he's the seasoned veteran, as it were, and he's helped over the course of the last 3 years to bring these guys up, and it's fun to see their evolution and the development. As you rightfully point out, we're incredibly fortunate to have Dean's steady hand. I mean, I think the fact that we haven't raced in 2020 really at all, it was great to see our practice and our preparation and the work that he had done personally to get to what was on display there. And yet sitting in the debriefs, you also know that he's criticizing himself to get better. So, which is exciting. And, my role on the boat is to gather as much of the tactical information prior to the race starting, paint the picture for the guys, much like we do on any boat, give a good plan A and a plan B. And then once we get clear of the start, it's really to support Dean's decision-making, provide input when required, but not too much, because as you can imagine, there's a lot going on the boat, and his ability to process as things are happening is really at a high level. And so my role is to support the grinders and support him tactically, to make sure that we get the higher percentage decisions more right than we do wrong.
And trimming the main, someone I know pretty well.
Oh, yes.
Paul
Sorry,
Goodison.
Paul Goodison. Goody. How can
Olympic
you
gold
forget Goody?
medalist.
Yeah. Olympic gold medalist, training partner for Shirley and Ben. Goody is, he is just a resource of complete talent. And since we've started sailing together almost 3 years ago, I'm blown away at his natural abilities. I mean, the guy is he's just an incredible sailor. And it's been exciting to watch him evolve as well inside the team dynamic, coming into a team that we're in and having to develop something that's completely unknown. And but his sailing skill is incredible. And, going into a maneuver when it's really, really windy, and you come out of the jibe and you're going 40-something knots, you're very thankful that he's steering the boat out of the maneuver, because he's just consistently good. And, we're all unique in our own ways, and probably the strength of us will come as we continue to develop together. And I think if we allow ourselves the space to make mistakes and improve from them, it'll be a formidable team.
All right. What about your fellow challengers, Ineos and the Rossa? There's lots of experience there, both of them previous campaigners, of course.
Yeah.
What do you make of your fellow challengers?
I think they're very good. And I think we absolutely have our work cut out for us. Whoever gets through the Challenger Series will be reasonably bloodied, and they'll earn that spot. As I said earlier, I don't, for a moment, expect anything but top level out of our neighbor here in Ineos, and it's an incredible group of sailors and incredible talent. The Challenger of record obviously is loaded with experience with Jimmy and Kiko, sharing the helm-in duties. And then you look through that team, they have a great blend of young athletic sailors and experience. So, which is exactly what you need to be successful. And so, we don't spend as much time, I think, worried about them, only because this is the only thing we can control. We can really only control us. And so if you get absorbed in seeing what your competitor's doing all the time, we don't recon them, and we definitely keep an eye on them and stuff like that. But you can only do so much there, because, at a certain point, you can't really control any of it. But nothing but the highest levels of respect for them as competitors and as sailors. So we know we have our work cut out for us.
Ineos had several issues with the supplied foil control system, the interface between the foil arms and the rest of the boat. You seem to have a couple of flight issues during the December races. Have you guys been struggling with the same issues at all?
I think all the teams. The only team I don't really know about is the Defender. But I know all three challengers over the course of the last year and a half have struggled with the FCS. And, right now there's a great working group that includes all four teams, and everybody's working to get to the bottom of the issues that all the teams face. We're not immune to it. And, we have taken a position that what's good for one has got to be good for everybody, because it would be a shocker to lose a race to an FCS failure. And so, I think we've always approached it as a reasonable open book and share all of our information, because it's for the betterment of all of us. And the more reliable that system is, the better off our boat would be, the more reliable. So if we can learn from our neighbors here or from the guys across the harbor, then we're happy to share.
One of the areas that's brand new to this already brand new class is the double skin mainsail, of course. And I'm intrigued, Terry. I mean, the other teams have all a North Sails set up. Your Quantum, of course. You've had much success for many years out on the racetrack with Quantum sails.
Yeah.
In this scenario, do you see that as an advantage, or are there mutual gains to be had for your competitors in running the same sail manufacturer?
I think one of the benefits of our setup is, we partner with Stratus membranes and Quantum, and it's a design approach that we've taken across really the Bellamente is where it started. And so between Jordi Califat, who's a sail designer for Quantum and manages the IQ part of the design program, and Richard Bouzaid, we had a great working relationship, and there was really no reason to reinvent the wheel. Certainly, I think our sail program, and I think where we've gotten to is really, really good. I can see flaws from here to Africa in some of the tools that we've had, and yet I don't know about the Norse system and what they've used to design their sails. And so I can see the strengths and weaknesses of our program. I can see our sails are really nice, and everything has evolved in the correct way. Outside of that, it's nice to, Doug DeVos owns Quantum, and so they've been a great supplier and a great partner in this adventure that we're truly on. And so it's nice to continue those relationships and continue supporting the Quantum brand, because it's, as you said, they've been our bread and butter through 6 TP52 World Championships, 3 Maxi 72 World Championships, and a whole host of other success on the race course. And so hard not to be confident in it.
Finally, Terry, let's briefly talk racing. We saw plenty of close quarters sailing in the December races. Were you surprised by that? And with Dean at the wheel, you calling tactics, how much are you looking forward to getting stuck in when racing resumes?
I got goosebumps just when you talk about it, Shirley. I think we're looking forward to it. And, at the very heart of all of us is we're racers. And it's what we've prepared ourselves to do. It's what we've trained to do. This has been a very unique competition with the worldwide pandemic and all the things that have happened around the world. And I can't help but continually be grateful and thankful for everything that Doug and Hap and Roger and the New York Yacht Club have given to us, because they've given us this great opportunity to go racing. And the sailors that are in this harbor are in a very unique situation that we're one of the few regattas that are still going on. And you slowly see the sailing world emerging and getting back into it. But I can't wait to get back out and get racing, get sailing, to the extent that I'm sure that it's driving some of our teammates crazy, because I seem to be walking into the shuttle lot saying, okay, guys, when are we going sailing? Let's go. We're going to get this party started. And but that's what we're here to do. We came to race, and we've been working so long for this particular goal. Probably the hardest part of this America's Cup in particular is the fact that there's been so little racing. The last time outside of this World Series, in 2020, my only other race was a Wednesday night race on the J70 with my kids. And then you think back to 2018, and that was it on the 52. So I'm probably more anxious than I would be on the front side of an event, only because we've committed so much time and so much resource to this campaign that we want to make sure it's successful. But that's not unlike anybody else in the harbor. So, we're all in the same spot.
Terry, thank you so much for your time. We wish you all the best and look forward to a longer sit down for the podcast.
Yes.
Perhaps when you have a little bit more time on your hand. You
Thanks.
have to promise me that.
Absolutely.
Terry, many, many thanks.
Thanks, Shirley.
We definitely felt that we were very strong in the light wind and missing something in the stronger wind. We have this clear split between starboard and port, but it's been working very well so far. In Italy, it's everybody is speaking about America's Cup.
Luna Rossa has been involved in the America's Cup since 2000, and Prada CEO Patrizio Bertelli is a massive sailing fan. He's even in the AC Hall of Fame. And this time around, he's not only funding his team, but also investing big in the event. Long-time allies of Emirates Team New Zealand, although perhaps less so now, they are the challenger of record. The first to lay down the challenge to the winners, Team New Zealand, after the Cup in Bermuda. The Luna Rossa team is at its very core Italian. The only exception on the sailing team is Jimmy Spithill, a Cup winner himself who sailed for the Italians in the early part of his Cup career. Jimmy helms the boat, but is not alone in doing so. Uniquely, Luna Rossa have decided to split the helming duties, and it's his co-helm, Francesco Bruni, that we talk to next. Kiko, as he's known, is a real character within the team. He's sailing in his 5th Cup campaign and was pleased with the team's performance in the December races. I kick things off by asking Bruni how intense this period is for the Italian team.
Yeah, we only had a couple of days for Christmas, Christmas Day and Boxing Day the day after, where the whole team was off. And it's a little bit of an achievement because so far we never had a full day off for the whole team in a while. Because it's always been very hard to give a full day off for the full team. Obviously, we are the lucky ones as a sailing team. We get more day off than the rest of the team. There is a lot of rostering of the short team, so it's hard, it's complicated. But yeah, Christmas was a good 2 days for us.
But good to get back out in the water.
Oh yeah, we've been already out in the water the 27th and the 28th, so 2 days in a row. We were the only team out in the water, and for me it's always a great feeling when we are the only one sailing, because you feel like, okay, I'm doing a little bit of a step ahead, but who knows, maybe they are doing a bigger step ahead inside the shed, so it's a very hard balance.
What did the team learn from the World Series racing? I mean, the first time, of course, any of the boats had the chance to line up against each other. What did Luna Rossa learn from December's racing?
I think for us was a very important period, I guess, for all the teams, but we definitely felt that we were very strong in the light wind and missing something in the stronger wind. So our focus obviously is to work on that weakness. But we knew already that all our components were on that period of the racing would have been good in light wind. So we had a little bit of a feeling. But for me, the biggest lesson was the whole organization, communication, media informations coming in, and all the racing software, all this part melting together our team knowledge with the organization. It took a while and I think it was a very important learning for all the teams.
What do you mean by that? The coming together of the organization?
Basically, for example, we had many problems with receiving information from the race committee. So our racing software was not working properly. So we had marks in the wrong position, ley lines coming and going, time time to the start was wrong by some seconds at times. And I mean, selling this kind of boats, you are all relying a lot on instruments. And it will be sometimes it's better not to have any information and rely on your watch. But when the information is wrong, it's harder to understand when that information is wrong. So we had all those problems, and part of that is just the fact that the organizing team didn't have a lot of time because we didn't have any of the World Series during the COVID. Problem in Europe was all cancelled. So all of that part for us was very important to learn all of that and not to have the same problems during the Prada Cup.
Talk me quickly through your role on the boat, Francesco. I mean, what are your responsibilities?
Obviously, on port, I'm steering the boat, and I do some settings as well. It's not just about steering left and right. You can change some of the behavior of the boat, and when we are sailing on starboard, I stay to leeward, and I'm in control of the fly height, let's say. So flap movement, cant, and other stuff. So basically, you are in control of what is happening with your foils. And obviously it's very different compared to what the other teams have. We have this clear split between starboard and port, but it's been working very well so far.
We've seen you when you're not steering. There's a lever on the side of the boat. Is that lever flight control?
That's a good part of the foiling the boat is the flap movement. So that's a very important part of it, but there are some other settings that you can change with buttons. Probably you haven't watched the other hand very carefully, but the other hand is also playing, and you can do something with the foot as well. Foot buttons are on any boat, not only on our boat. So it's not as simple as just playing with a lever.
We've talked about it a lot in the commentary. I mean, you're portside helm. Jimmy Spithill, of course, is starboard helm. I mean, how is that working, and what are the challenges of that setup?
It's working very well. We've been trying it for a while now, and we found some more benefits than downsides. So I think what is very nice is on a maneuver you always have somebody in control of the boat. You don't have people crossing from one side to the other. We still have our main trimmer, Pietro Sibello, that is crossing, but he can easily stay to leeward as well. So we can basically turn the boat at any time, any moment, without any warning. That's, I think, a big upside. We've been learning from each other a lot, and our improvement is been going through the roof. So I think there are some, it's a good setup. I really like it.
How tricky is it though when you've been flying the boat and you're very focused on the right height and the foil, and then all of a sudden there you are with the wheel? That's
very true. That's probably one of the hardest moments when you go from one role to the other, and it takes a lot of the help of the other guy on painting the picture of what is happening while you are trimming the foil. So our communication system on our boat is very important. If we lose comms, we are in big trouble, but hopefully it's not going to happen.
There's a lot of comms on your boat. Yeah. I mean, we feel very lucky as the viewer. We can hear you.
Yeah.
Everyone's
listening.
I
guess it's the same for every boat, but on our boat there is this sharing of roles, so that it's very important for whoever is steering to paint the picture to the other guy, so that when you take the wheel, you are not just coming on another word. Yes.
How happy are you with your boat? We saw a few changes in hull shape from your first boat, but I mean, nothing radical. Where did you make changes from boat one, and how happy are you with her now?
Well, it's pretty easy to see that boat 2 is just an evolution of boat 1. It's basically the same family. We were very happy with boat 1. The first design was really good and promising. So I think our design team just improved some parts of the boat, and so just made a refinement of boat 1. We had few issues with boat 1, some structural issues. So obviously we didn't make the same mistake twice. And I think boat 2 is a very good boat, but obviously it's all about the package in the America's Cup. It's not just a hull, especially with the foiling boats. More than ever, it's the package, foils, sail shapes, and hull and rudder, and the whole combination. It's that makes the boat flying in very different ways. I'm sure you have picked it up on TV. How every boat has his own style of sailing.
What about your fellow challengers, Francesco, Ineos and American Magic? I mean, two very experienced set of sailors. What are the team's thoughts on your competitors going into the Prada Cup?
Well, first of all, we think that all the challengers are very competitive. Obviously, Ben Ineos they had a few issues during the World Series and Christmas race, but I'm 100% sure that they will be back very strong. So we don't have to underestimate them. It would be a very stupid mistake to do. I'm sure that they will be as strong as us, but for sure it's going to be a very good fight. We are not intimidated by them, but neither by the Americans. But I think that it's going to be a very good match, especially because we had the experience of the Christmas Cup and the World Series event, and I'm sure that all the teams are going to go a little bit closer in performance going into the Prada Cup. So if there was a team that was stronger downwind or in lighter breeze or in stronger breeze, I'm sure that there will be sort of a coming together of the performance.
Where do you think the Prada Cup will be won? I mean, we've seen some very fast speeds out on the racecourse. But in the lighter airs, staying up on the foils, maintaining flight, I mean, that's been crucial. Yes. What's going to be the most important area, and where do you see as the key to success?
I'm sure that consistency is going to be one of the main problems of anything. There will be some teams that are better in the light and some that are better in the strong wind. Obviously, in the light, if you can fly, you're off. Winning a race in displacement mode is not an option. So that part is quite important, and maneuvering. We have seen big gains on tacks and jibes, and a very good chunk of the seconds around the course are in maneuvers. Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit of everything, as always. The team that is more overall complete is gonna win, I think.
It's always an exciting time with a new class, especially as we've never really seen these AC75s race each other before. As a man that loves a match race, helming along with Jimmy, who's never shy of getting involved either, how much close contact match racing do you think we'll see from the challengers?
There will be more and more. I'm 100% sure about it. There will be more and more because points are going to be increase the value of the points of a race. You know, Christmas Cup and World Series, yeah, they were important events, but not that important. And so I think the points having a bigger value are going to put the boats a little bit closer together, I'm sure. And we are not afraid of that. We feel that we are a strong team on the boat to boat. port and starboard, doesn't matter. So we feel we are strong on both tacks and both jibes.
And finally, Francesco, I mean, way back, I remember being in Italy during the 92 Cup. It was in San Diego, but the fans in Italy were glued to the television. Crazy for Amore di Venezia when she made it through the Challenger Series. What's the support like at home this time around?
It's incredible. I've never received so many emails and messages, and as always, America's Cup is something special. In Italy, it's everybody is speaking about America's Cup, probably even more so with the COVID restrictions. Everybody's at home and they're looking for time to spend on TV, and here they are. They're watching every night. Everybody is incredible. It's unbelievable.
Francesco, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for your time.
No, thank you, guys.
We wish you all the very best for you and your team.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Match racing on this scale of boat at this speed, that's quite some spectacle. Some of it will be a little bit more obvious in terms of the changes that we make, some of it not so much. It takes what's a relatively small change to create a big boost in performance, and certainly that's what we're working towards here.
The British challenge for the 36th America's Cup is fronted by Olympic sailing legend Sir Ben Ainslie. As we all know, Ineos Team UK are representing the Royal Yacht Squadron, the club that first gave away the Cup 170 years ago. It's never been won back. Ben is therefore under a lot of pressure. His team struggled in the December races, at times wrestling their AC75 up onto the foils in the lighter winds. His team has much work ahead as they strive to deliver a more competitive yacht. But he has assembled a talented sailing team, and upgrades to the boat are set to sort at least some of the issues. It would have been easy to decline an interview for our podcast, so we are very grateful for Ben's time. I kick things off by asking Ben to give you all an idea of where we were settled down for our chat.
We're here at our team base on the viaduct in Auckland, and we've got, a couple of weeks until we start the Prada Cup, which is the Challenger Series. So we did the Christmas race, which the Team New Zealand, the defenders, were racing in. And now we just go to the three challenging teams who duke it out for that, ultimately that right to go through to the America's Cup to race the Kiwis.
By now, Ben, all four of the Cup teams have raced their AC75s for the first time. Two-boat testing, inter-team testing. I mean, that was all banned. So it really was the first time you all went head-to-head. Were you surprised at how combative it was? I mean, plenty of people questioned whether old-school match racing was even possible in these boats. But at times, I mean, you got pretty close. How surprised at that were you, that it looks like this isn't just going to be a series of drag races?
No, it was a great indicator of how close this racing can be. I think all of the teams had issues from time to time through the series for one reason or another, which meant some of the races were perhaps there was a greater distance between the boats than otherwise there would have been. But some of the races were really tight. I think it was, like I said, great indication of the match racing on this scale of boat at this speed. And when you can get a tight race, that's quite some spectacle.
It felt that all the teams got, I guess, more and more confident and punchier as it went on.
That's absolutely right. And as they get more confidence in the reliability of the boat and how they can throw the boat around, particularly in those pre-starts. And we did see some sort of classic match racing dial downs and, the lead out tacks and the shutouts and all those sorts of things that we associate with traditional match racing, and coming back to the upwind starts. And to see that in this scale of boat at those speeds, that's pretty cool.
Much has been made of those pre-Christmas races, of course. I mean, you've not had much time to reflect, but specifically, Ben, regarding Britannia, what are your thoughts on your performance?
Well, we clearly weren't happy with our performance. We had a number of issues with the reliability of the boat. and the performance of the boat, which in some ways you come away from that and you think, well, we're really fortunate to have had that opportunity to realize, to highlight some of those issues. Clearly we're not where we'd want to be. We've got a little bit of time to try and resolve that. Some of the things we frankly have been working on for a long time anyway, and some of the areas were new areas of concern in reliability and so on. So yeah, it's a lot to think about coming out of the back of that. Not much time in terms of being able to resolve those issues, but we've got a fantastic team here and everyone is absolutely 100% focused on trying to identify those key areas or solve those key areas where we're lacking in performance.
There's 4 teams in this cup, so there's a real concentration of knowledge in those 4 design camps. Here at INEOS, you've assembled an incredible group. I mean, some of the brightest brains in the cup world. You've had a healthy budget and spent large sums on design and testing, on simulation. You've had input from Formula One, all to build a new class of race boat, a boat the like of which we've never seen before. No one's done it before. No one's sailed these before. So with that in mind, how does it feel when you read the criticism you've been under, written by people that haven't spent a dime on any of the above?
Yeah, I think it's tough for the team, the situation we're in, but that's more internally because, as you say, everyone's put so much effort, invested so much time and focus and resource into this campaign that desperately want to do well and want ultimately the boat to be competitive, be as competitive as it should be. So I think that's our biggest frustration. Okay, you're always going to get criticisms externally and people are going to have a viewpoint on your performance. Some of those are probably more serious than others, or, I think it's difficult because people don't really know unless you're in these teams competing at this level. It's very hard to understand just how complex these boats are. So you don't really see, I think, from other teams, criticisms going across the fence because, again, people understand just how hard it is. So we just ultimately have to focus on what we can do and ignore what other people are saying. And that's really what we're trying to do. So the team is working incredibly hard to, like I say, to get the performance out of the boat that it's designed to perform to. And if we can do that, then we know that we can be competitive.
What about your competitors' boats, Ben? I mean, the other challengers. What are your thoughts on Luna Rossa and American Magic?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, how the different teams have approached this new class of boat. I think Luna Rossa are a very polished outfit. They've been in the America's Cup a long game. They've got really good people, both on and off the water. And their performance, I think, certainly in the lighter airs, the performance is really impressive. Perhaps they're even the best performing team in the lighter airs. In the stronger airs at the moment, maybe they're lacking a little bit on the Kiwis and the Americans. It'll be interesting to see again over the next couple of weeks what changes they make to the boat. They've certainly got scope for some new wings in terms of the allocation of foils. So it'll be interesting to see if we see any new additions of wings or in any other area on the boat to help boost that heavier air performance.
And American Magic? Yeah,
American Magic, more so in the medium to strong airs. I think their performance is really impressive. Of all the challenges, they're the closest at the moment to giving the Kiwis a race in those medium to stronger airs. Really confident throwing the boat around, got good control and great straight line performance. So they've done a really good job.
From the Christmas regatta to the first race of the Prada Cup, it's about just less than a month's gap. Can you tell us, Ben, how different will the Britannia that crosses the start line for the first match be to the Britannia we saw pre-Christmas?
Well, certainly we hope it'll be much more improved in terms of the performance. Some of that will be visual. Some of that you really can't see because it's internal to do with the systems of of how we sail and control the boat. But yeah, clearly the performance needs to be a huge improvement from where we were. And that's what we're working on. Like I said, some of it will be a little bit more obvious in terms of the changes that we make, some of it not so much.
How much can you do in that period of time?
You can do a lot. I think you've got to think back to 2013 with a similar situation with a new class of boat, the AC72 foiling multi-hull. Those boats were similarly complex, and people were, the rate of improvement across all of the teams was massive. And that's a similar scenario that we're in now here in Auckland with this new AC75. So you can make a lot of changes to the boat, both in terms of the hardware and the software and the technique, how you sail the boat. So, sometimes it takes what's a relatively small change to create a big boost in performance. And certainly that's what we're working towards here.
The Prada Cup is a long event. It's not just over in a weekend. How much can you grow and develop and enhance your performance in that period of time?
Yeah, you can certainly change your measurement certificate through the Prada Cup, through the different rounds. Once you start a round, you're sort of stuck with your configuration. But you can change your configuration through the different rounds, and also the development of techniques of how you sail the boat and how you set the boat up. So I think you'll still see a lot of improvements across all of the challenges through that Prada Cup. And, whoever gets through is we're really going to need to push each other hard for that challenger to be able to give the Kiwis a race, because right now they're standing sort of head and shoulders above the three other teams. And, we've really got to up our game to be competitive against them.
Just give us an indication of we're upstairs here in your base. What's happening? What's the intensity of work like downstairs in the shed?
Yeah, it's full on. It's full on. As you can imagine, we've had an intense review, what the issues were on the back of the Christmas race or the World Series race. And, in the time frame that we've got, what changes can we make to the boat? What, identifying what the key issues are and how to solve those. And we've certainly 2 or 3 key issues that we highlighted through the World Series. And now the designers and the guys on the boat builders, the engineers are working flat out to get those issues sorted out, get us, like I say, get the boat back to performing where it should be, rather than at the moment it's, probably 20% off its optimum of where it should be performing. So that's our focus. And yeah, as you can imagine, everyone's flat out trying to achieve that.
As we've said, Ben, the AC75s are new boats. From what you've experienced so far, Ben, what are the big gains going to be made out on the racetrack? I mean, we saw you recently taking a boundary penalty, for example, to try and stay up on the foils. What are the areas that you think will be key to winning races?
Yeah, I think for some of the teams are obviously more developed than others, but as teams go through this competition and get better and get sharper, I think the starts are going to become more and more key as boats gets closer in performance, and the boat that's in front of the start line being able to control that race better. I think the light air manoeuvring, as you can see, is absolutely critical in terms of the gains and losses on the race course. And again, the team's just getting better and better at that. So they get more time, they improve the setup of the boat, and their techniques improve as sailors out there on the water. And we haven't really yet seen some sort of high-end, 20 knot plus days, which will also be really interesting in terms of how the boats maneuver and the performance of the different teams in terms of their speed. So those are really probably the 3 things I'm looking out for.
You've assembled a fantastic race team. I mean, to give our listeners a bit of a glimpse for when racing starts, briefly talk us through the roles on your boat. I mean, we know you've got your grinding team all outward facing uniquely on your boat. And I know Nick Hutton and Joey Newton also trim the jib. Talk us through the rest of the roles then. Who's doing what?
Yeah, so behind Nick and Joey, we have Lee McMillan and Luke Parkinson, who are our flight controllers, if you like, our pilots. So they each monitor a side of the boat depending which tack we're on. And those roles change slightly depending on which tack we're on, as to whether they're flying the boat in terms of the main wing foil or helping with the pitch control of the boat. And then behind that, we've got Giles, Scott and myself, who Giles is predominantly involved with the tactics and the strategy, but also is helping with the maneuvers with steering the boat and some other functions that he gets involved with. And then behind us, we've got Bledin Mon, who's our mainsail trimmer. And that's obviously a hugely key role in terms of getting the roll control of the boat as stable as it can do. So from that, we get our sort of effective heave stability of how accurate we can fly the boat, how close we can get it to the water, and how far out we can have the foil cant, the foil arm and our effective cant, which is where our righting moment comes from. So those are all really key roles, and got to work closely together to get the boat going as fast as we can and in the right direction.
Ben Ainsley, I know you're a busy man. You know, massive luck. I really hope it goes well, and thanks for your time.
Thanks.
So that's our look ahead to the Prada Cup. All the action gets underway on January the 15th, and the full schedule is available online. And I'll let you know where you can watch it. But as I've said before, most of you will be able to catch up with all the action live on the America's Cup channel on YouTube. Before we go, I have to say another big thank you to our 3 challengers. To Terry, to Francesco and to Ben, 3 men with a lot of responsibility right now, but also to their teams and some of the unsung heroes of the Cup world, their media teams. To Will at American Magic, to Sarah and Raquel at Luna Rossa, and to Nick and Charlotte at Ineos. Many thanks for helping make this happen. It's much appreciated. And to all the teams, as racing draws near, we wish for good wins, fair racing, and the very best of luck to all of them. It's going to be intense. We love your feedback, and it's important in the podcast world. So please let me know what you think and review and subscribe on whatever platform you're joining us on. And as ever, the podcast is produced by Tim at Vertigo Films. So a huge thank for all his hard work and for, well, putting the whole podcast together. His enthusiasm for your podcast enjoyment, well, it knows no bounds. You may have seen a few promotional clips for this podcast online. If you haven't, check out my social media channels for some incredible footage of these AC75s in action. I do have to say a big thanks to the Cup team for letting us use some pictures. A big thanks to Adam Brown and his driver Clint on the Camera Cat for those sensational chase boat pictures, and to Matt Connor for the incredible footage from the air. They do a sensational job bringing our sport and the racing to life. Well, that's all from us in Auckland. Until next time, thank you so much for listening, and stay safe, everyone.
This is Castle 1, race officer speaking.
Pressure coming here, pressure coming.
A bit lower and faster here.
Still gaining on the lay line there.
We're looking at 10.5 to 42. This is Castle 1 standing by. Out.